Ever wondered how a man with such dubious origins could infiltrate the world's most powerful circles? Welcome to the enigma that is Jeffrey Epstein. Our story begins with a man who seemed to emerge from the shadows. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with an air of mystery surrounding his rise to prominence. His name was not known for his financial acumen, but rather for his connections to the glitterati of the world, celebrities, politicians, and even royalty. He moved within these circles with an ease that left many baffled. Epstein's wealth was another riddle that puzzled many. His net worth was a subject of much speculation. Some reports painted him as a billionaire, while others suggested a far more modest fortune. Yet the exact source of his wealth remained unclear, shrouded in confusion and conflicting reports. Was it his hedge fund, or was it his high-profile connections? The truth, it seemed, was as elusive as the man himself. But Epstein's story was not just about his rise to prominence and his wealth. Beneath the surface of his jet-setting lifestyle lay a darker narrative. He was charged with serious crimes involving minors, igniting a firestorm that reached the highest echelons of power. Epstein's fall from grace was as dramatic as his rise, culminating in his apparent suicide in jail in August 2019. His death only added fuel to the fire, sparking a flurry of conspiracy theories and suspicions of foul play. Meanwhile, his connections to some of the most powerful figures in the world came under intense scrutiny, from former presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump to Britain's Prince Andrew. Epstein's influence was far-reaching. These associations would later haunt these figures, forcing them to distance themselves from the disgraced financier. So, who was the man behind the millionaire mask? Let's delve deeper into the rabbit hole. Beneath the glittering surface of Epstein's life lay a disturbing reality. His lavish lifestyle and high-profile friendships masked a darker truth. Epstein was embroiled in serious criminal activities, specifically the sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. This was a man who was not just content with wealth and power. He was also a predator, exploiting the vulnerable for his twisted pleasure. Jeffrey Epstein was not an ordinary criminal. His actions were calculated, his victims handpicked. He was a puppet master, controlling his victims through fear, intimidation, and manipulation. With his wealth, he was able to create a web of deceit that was almost impossible to untangle. But perhaps the most controversial aspect of Epstein's criminal history was his 2008 plea deal. Epstein was charged with solicitation of prostitution involving a minor, a charge which, under normal circumstances, should have resulted in a hefty sentence. But Epstein was not treated like an ordinary criminal. He was given a lenient sentence, one that sparked outrage and prompted questions about the fairness of our justice system. The plea deal allowed Epstein to serve his sentence in a private wing of a county jail and granted him work release, which permitted him to leave jail 6 days a week for work at his office. This leniency was unheard of for a sex offender, and it raised eyebrows. It was as if Epstein was above the law, immune to the consequences of his actions. But the controversy didn't end there. Following Epstein's death in 2019, questions about his crimes, his wealth, and his connections continued to swirl. The circumstances of his death raised suspicions of foul play and sparked conspiracy theories. His victims were left without closure, their quest for justice seemingly at a standstill. Epstein's empire was built on a foundation of exploitation and deceit, but justice was on the horizon. Despite Epstein's death, his victims continued to fight, pursuing legal action against his estate. Their resilience and determination serve as a stark reminder of the long-lasting impact of Epstein's crimes. Epstein's reckoning came in August 2019, but his death was the beginning, not the end. The news of Epstein's death by apparent suicide in his jail cell sent shockwaves around the world. The financier, known for his ties to celebrities, politicians, and royalty, was found lifeless, sparking a torrent of questions and suspicions. Epstein's death, rather than providing closure, gave birth to a myriad of conspiracy theories. The circumstances surrounding his demise raised eyebrows, to say the least. Here was a man charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy suddenly gone, just like that. The scenario seemed too convenient for some, leading to speculations of foul play. The official report cited suicide, but not everyone was convinced. Pathologists were divided in their opinions. Some agreed with the official cause of death, while others pointed to certain anomalies that suggested a different narrative. This discord among the medical experts only added fuel to the fire of public curiosity and skepticism. But Epstein's death did more than just raise questions about the circumstances of his exit. It amplified the focus on his life, his crimes, and his associations. His demise effectively ended his criminal case, but it also opened a new chapter of investigation. The public, the media, and the authorities now wanted to know more about the man behind the scandal. Did Epstein act alone, or were there others involved? Who were these people? Were they aware of his crimes? These were the questions that haunted everyone as they tried to piece together the puzzle that was Jeffrey Epstein. The fallout from Epstein's death was extensive and far-reaching. It led to a renewed scrutiny of his 2008 plea deal, which had allowed him to serve a lenient sentence for solicitation of prostitution involving a minor. His wealth, the source of his fortune, and his connections to powerful figures like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump were put under the microscope. Epstein's death may have ended his criminal case, but it opened a Pandora's box of questions. The world wanted to know the truth, and Epstein's death had made that quest even more urgent and compelling. Epstein's specter continues to haunt those once in his inner circle. His connections to the powerful figures of our time were as vast as they were varied, reaching into the realms of politics, finance, and even royalty. Let's delve into the impact these relationships had and continue to have even after his demise. Take Bill Clinton, for instance. The former U.S. president was known to have a relationship with Epstein, but as the financier's crimes came to light, Clinton was quick to distance himself. He was adamant about having had minimal contact with Epstein and having no knowledge of his heinous activities. Then there's Donald Trump, another figure entangled in Epstein's web. The businessman turned president also made it a point to separate himself from Epstein, emphasizing that he had severed ties with him years before Epstein's crimes became public knowledge. Perhaps the most controversial figure linked to Epstein is Prince Andrew. The Duke of York's association with Epstein has been the subject of intense scrutiny, leading to a significant backlash. Despite vehemently denying any allegations of sexual misconduct, the prince found himself stepping back from public duties, a move that signaled the severity of the impact Epstein's connection had on his reputation. It's intriguing, isn't it? How Epstein, a man shrouded in mystery and scandal, managed to weave himself into the fabric of the global elite. Yet, as his dark side was unveiled, those within his circle scrambled to disentangle themselves from his tarnished legacy. But here's the kicker. Epstein's influence didn't die with him. The ripples of his actions continue to disturb the waters of the high and mighty. His name, his connections, his crimes, they all continue to cast long shadows over those who once shared his inner circle. Even in death, Epstein's influence continues to ripple through the echelons of power. While Epstein is no more, his victims continue their fight for justice. The aftermath of Epstein's life and crimes has been a whirlwind of legal action, with his alleged victims pursuing justice against his estate. The pursuit of justice has not been an easy journey, but it's one that they are determined to see through to the end. In the midst of this tumultuous aftermath, Epstein's former associate Ghislaine Maxwell has faced her own reckoning. After a trial that gripped the world, she was found guilty on sex trafficking charges. This conviction was a significant step forward, bringing some semblance of justice for the victims who had been waiting for years. Yet, the legal battles are far from over. With Epstein's estate at the center of numerous lawsuits, his victims are determined to hold those responsible accountable. The Epstein saga serves as a stark reminder of the enduring impact of such heinous acts, with the victims' fight for justice serving as a beacon of hope for others. The aftermath of Epstein's crimes has also sparked a broader conversation about power, privilege, and the ways they can be exploited. It's a conversation that's long overdue, and one that society must continue to engage in if we are to prevent such abuses from happening in the future. But amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. The courage and resilience of Epstein's victims in their pursuit of justice is nothing short of inspiring. They have turned their personal pain into a public crusade, standing up not just for themselves, but for all victims of sexual abuse. The Epstein saga is a grim chapter in our collective history, but it's one that we must not forget. It's a stark reminder of the need for accountability, transparency, and justice. And while Epstein may no longer be here, his victims' fight for justice continues, a testament to their strength and determination. Epstein's legacy is one of pain and injustice, but his victims are determined to change the narrative. Their fight is not just for justice, but also for change. And in that fight, they are not alone. Their courage, their resilience, and their determination serve as a beacon of hope for others, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, change is possible. The Epstein saga is a tale of power, manipulation, and unanswered questions. As we delve deeper into this labyrinth of secrets, we find ourselves at the heart of an enigma that refuses to be unraveled. Let's take a moment to revisit the key points we've dissected in this video. We began with the mystery that kick-started it all. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with ties to the rich and powerful, was charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. His life was shrouded in obscurity, with his wealth and the source of his fortune remaining as elusive as the man himself. Then we peered into the dark underbelly of this saga. Epstein's lenient plea deal in 2008 and his sudden death in jail sparked widespread suspicions and conspiracy theories. The circumstances of his death remain a point of contention among experts, adding yet another layer to this complex mystery We also discuss the fallout of this scandal, with Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty of sex trafficking charges. Epstein's connections to influential figures like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Prince Andrew were scrutinized, with these individuals distancing themselves from the disgraced financier. We then explored Epstein's circle of influence, highlighting how his ties to the powerful protected him for years. His death effectively ended the criminal case against him, but his alleged victims continue their pursuit for justice. In the aftermath of Epstein's death, his victims continue to seek legal action against his estate, but the Epstein saga is far from over. With ongoing investigations and unresolved mysteries surrounding his life and death, the search for the truth continues. As we continue to unravel the Epstein enigma, remember this: the quest for truth never ends. Despite the shadows that still linger, each revelation brings us a step closer to understanding the full scope of Epstein's actions and their repercussions. And so, we carry on, piecing together this puzzle that is the Epstein mystery, one piece at a time. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel